Hi, everybody. I'm Sam. I got a tab open. I'm going to be screen sharing today. So you can't see me, but I figured I would go ahead and show you who I am. I'm trying to get everything set up here so that I can actually see the live on my phone, so that I'll be able to try to answer questions as we go along. But I'm not seeing it. Let me see. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm not sure. I've been talking for a little bit, but it looks like my video just started. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find the live so that I can answer questions. Trying to find it on my phone. Um, so just give me just a second. Hopefully I can find it. Maybe not. But, okay. So you can't see me. I'm doing a screen share, so I figured I'd just let you see who I am. I look much better in that picture than I do today, but like Heather's always talking about, nobody has to actually watch her or she doesn't actually have to take a shower. I've been in business now for just over 4 years. I mostly sell cakes and cupcake bouquets. I did join the group whenever I was working on sugar cookies, and I found out that I really don't like them. So I'm not doing sugar cookies anymore. When I did do them, I did buttercream, not royal icing. I'm really not good at royal icing. So buttercream's my jam. And today, I just want to teach you some of the things that I've learned. My husband taught me how to use Excel whenever I first started in order to build up a list of ingredients. So I'm going to switch over to this and I'll zoom in so hopefully you can see a little bit better. For the last 4 years, I've been adding to this, and it's gotten to be pretty extensive because I've tried selling multiple different things. I started out with cookies and fudge at Christmas, and then I started adding in cakes because I wanted to be able to do things year round. I figured cakes, everybody needs cake. So I started adding in cakes and things. I've built up a pretty big packaging list of different things. I was actually trying to update it for this to see, and I've got, let's see, over here, I've got some of my pricing worked out with formulas that Heather's helped us to figure out. But I don't really want to focus too much on what I've done. I just wanted to flip through this a little bit. I'm careful about which pages I'm sharing because some of my recipes have been paid for. So I'm trying to click on pages. You can see here, I just got this recipe from Handle the Heat, and for their chocolate chip cookies. And so using the ingredients that I have, it's $6.84 for a batch of cookies, and it's not actually 2 dozen, it's 33 cookies. And I've got it worked out to, it is 21 cents per cookie. That is 40 grams. That's the size that I sell for markets and things. I also have, with all of my recipes, not only the costs, but I have these, all of my metric weights listed out too. In Ohio, I have to I have to list my ingredients by weight on my labels. So I figured I already have this spreadsheet going here. I'm going to add in the metric weights too, so that I can just keep using formulas. But now that I've given you just a little overview of my sheet, I'm going to show you how to start fresh. So if you go to your Google homepage and come up here to Google Apps, you can scroll down to Sheets, and all of my shared business ones are here in my Gmail account. I have this one that I'm going to be sharing with you, but I'm going to start with a blank one just so that you can see. It's just a typical spreadsheet. Whenever I first started, I just started adding ingredients one at a time. And so I would add in things like the supplier, the brand, the product, the unit price, servings. Sorry, I just realized I hadn't changed it to this tab. The unit price, the servings per container, I think. And so I went through here and I would enter, my butter. It's a 1 pound thing at Aldi. Right now, I think the most recent price was $3.89. It would have 32 servings per container, which is a tablespoon. Some of my recipes call for tablespoons, some call for cups, but I've just converted everything to tablespoons. So here, this was recipe measure. And then serving cost and metric weights. So the metric weight, I'm actually going to move this over here. This is how much this measurement weighs. So a tablespoon of butter, I know, is 14.175 grams. So the only formula on this page here is, like, all of this stuff would be input by hand, and then I'm going to use a formula here to figure out my serving cost, and it is going to be equal to D2 divided by, or that fraction bar, E2. All right, so my cost is 12 cents per tablespoon of butter. I can do things like add dollar signs here, and if you have a dollar sign for one of your units, it will automatically calculate that over here. You can change the size of your columns. You can move things around. Here, this is too wide, so I can do text wrapping. So this is more organizational type thing. I'm just taking a second to look through the the comments. Yes, it is a lot. And thank you for the compliment on my buttercream flowers. They're my specialty for sure. Here, this is the sheet that I was on. All right, so here's just the basic, a very basic thing for figuring out, or for starting your own spreadsheet. Because I already have this huge list, I decided to go ahead and make this spreadsheet that I'm going to share with you. I took out all of my suppliers, all of my brands. I had deleted all of the unit prices, but I wanted to show you like how to build the recipes. And so I went ahead and I left a tab down here for cookies. And I've got that same recipe I was referencing in my personal workbook. And then I added the macaron recipe that the Martins had done in their live. A couple of reasons, because I'll get to building up the recipe in a second, but there's a couple of different ways to make your formulas. In this one here, all of my formulas are multiplying by the cost on my master ingredient list sheet. But for the macarons, I had all of the metric weights rather than actual measures. So I'm probably like jumping ahead too much. Anyway, there's two different ways to figure this out. You can either do it by the cost or by the measures, or using the weights, if that makes sense. Yes, I always use grams because my scale measures in grams. I've actually done an Instagram reel, like my best performing reel, which still is not viral or anything, but it's about how I make my recipes using fewer dishes. And I will actually I have printouts of all of my different recipes that are in this format, and I will use the weight that is listed here rather than using tablespoons or measuring cups and things like that. I will use some measuring spoons for very small amounts because the grams aren't as accurate, and so I have more control over it if I just go ahead and use a measuring spoon for a teaspoon or a half teaspoon or something like that. So when you change your cost, does the format stay the same? Yes, whenever I update my cost, here all of these you'll see are costed out. And then if we go back to my master list here that I have this is the blank one that I'm going to be sharing with you. I went ahead and added in prices for just the ingredients that are here. Like I said before, not all of these will be accurate for you, but it's a list, I think, that instead of completely reinventing the wheel, you can at least start with it. You might have to modify it. Like if you don't buy 1.5 gallon jugs of canola oil and you just get whatever you get from the grocery store, whatever they have, you're going to need to change your serving number per package. So I get jugs of canola oil at Sam's Club, and so I know how many tablespoons are in that gallon based on the servings that the package ingredient label. Anyway, so let's say butter goes up, which it's always going up. So let's just say it's 409. So I updated here in this one spot, and then I'll come over here to this recipe, and okay, so the butter now has increased to 205, and it's increased my price now to 708. I think I said it was 683 before. I wasn't looking very carefully. That's one thing about whenever you update your prices, you can't necessarily see the jump unless like you have a printout of your old pricing. Let me see. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to give this to you. You might need to change it. The metric weights here these are the weights that I use based off of my own experience, there's always a little bit of argument. Well, how much does a cup of flour actually weigh? And I tend to like test it out and do like I'll take the weights of like 4 different scoops and then I'll average it out. And so for me, for my scooping, 128 grams is 1 cup of flour. And that's the exact flour that I use. Maybe your flour is different. So you might want to change some metric weights here. You might want to, you might want to have your butter in cups rather than tablespoons. I've been doing this so long that I can convert the measures. Like I know that a cup is 16 tablespoons. So if I'm looking at a recipe that says that I need a half cup of butter, I know then that that's 1 stick or 8 tablespoons. So I think that using my method is definitely more for people who have a little bit more confidence in math. Over here, you could always add like a conversion sheet where, you know, a cup is always 16 tablespoons, and that you could use that for reference, but I don't need that, so I haven't done it. But I think, look for, okay, no more questions right now. I want to go ahead and start building a recipe, and I'm pulling up, I actually intended to go back through one of the lives and get like Jessica's biscotti recipe or something, because it was something that you would all have. Oh, I have it in my other thing, so I'm going to do a little copy and paste here into this. All right, so let me make this bigger too. Sorry if you couldn't see it very well. I'm going to import part of a recipe here from Jessica Biscotti Babe. I can't remember what her name was, but she had done a live about biscottis. I'm going to copy a little bit more into it. I didn't copy enough the first time. All right, so it already has the measures and everything here. So what I'm going to do is, I think that all of these recipes or all of these ingredients line up with the prices that I have in this worksheet. So, all right, so I'm going to figure out the cost here based on my measures. I've got 2 cups of flour. So in this cell, there's a function sheet up here. I guess I'm kind of assuming that you have a very basic knowledge of sheets here. But you can write your formula out up here, or you can enter it in right here and it will show up there as I type. So this cell is going to be equal to, and so that's entering a function. So what I want to multiply by, I want to multiply 2 cups here. So this is cell B15. And then I'm going to switch tabs and come over here to my, oh wait, I'm going to hit multiply, which is the star over the star key, like on your keypad on the right. B15 times, and now I'm going to go for the cost of flour. So here's my flour, and I'm going to come over here at my serving price. So this is 12.9 cents a cup. I'm going to click on it. You'll see that it pulls up my formula from the other page. So I'm clicked on that. I'm just going to hit enter, and it's going to take me back to my other page where I just was. So baking soda is going to be it'll give you all kinds of suggestions, and they're usually not going to be correct, so just ignore them. Okay, so this is equal to B16 times the cost of baking soda, and I actually do, I say this out loud to myself constantly while I'm doing it, so I don't forget what I'm doing. It's kind of annoying if my kids are in the room and they hear me, they're like, Mom, I'm trying to do my schoolwork. All right, so cost of salt is okay, equals B18 times the cost of butter equals B19 times the cost of sugar, and that's granulated sugar. Eggs, price has gone up too, I hate that. B20 times cost of eggs. And B21 times cost of, okay, so here I'm just going to use my imitation vanilla pricing because I actually make my own vanilla, and so on my spreadsheet I've got my homemade vanilla price, but it's going to be different for everybody. All right, so I've gone through here and done each of the costs for each of those ingredients, and I'm going to select all of these, come up to the top and hit this function button and hit sum. Now I have to confirm I want to add cells D15 to D21 and hit enter. Since I selected them, I'm going to put this in bold so it's easier to see. So you can see my price for the vanilla biscotti would be $1.83 if I made it with the imitation vanilla instead of my real vanilla. So the real vanilla would put it up over $2. All right. So now figuring out the weights. Actually, I'm going to check in for any questions. What am I doing to highlight those cells for the formula? Just clicking on them. So if I just click on one, it'll turn blue, but if I drag it, so I'm holding the left mouse key to drag it over, so that highlighted them. I think that's what you meant. That was Janelle, I think. All right, so I'm going to move on to the weights. So I'm going to be doing the same thing that I did to figure out the cost, only I'm going to be referencing a different cell on my ingredient spreadsheet. All right, so this cell, I'm clicked in it, it's highlighted, and so I'm going to add the equal sign, which automatically makes it a function. You can just, never mind. I talk too much. All right, so we're going to go back, we're going to reference this same thing. I want 2 cups of it, so equals B15 times, and now I am doing the weight of AP flour, which is hiding. Okay, so this right here, this cell, 128 grams is how much 1 cup of AP flour weighs. So that'll give me 256. All right, so you don't have to close these. They're distracting. Sometimes they cut into my vision, so. All right, so this is going to be B16 times the weight of baking soda. Is B17 times the weight of salt. B18. You'll get faster at it. Oh yeah, butter's way at the top. And for some of the things, it can, like, I know them in my head, and so it can be tempting to not reference my sheet, the master list ingredient sheet. However, if I don't reference it, it won't update. So that's why I use the formulas. Um, do not want to do what they're suggesting. I'm going to come back over here and find the weight of sugar. It can be tempting. I know that sugar is 200 grams. It would be easier to just multiply that by 200 grams. But if I ever change this, if I ever change anything, it won't update. So it's important to use the formulas. It might take a little bit longer in this setup, but over time, it will actually save you a lot of time. Imagine that. Weight eggs. Also, like the weight of eggs, I just did an average based on the eggs that I get. So vanilla beat times weight of vanilla, which is 3 grams. All right, so here I have my weights. I like to have them formulated for the sum also. That has to do with the way that I measure out my ingredients for whenever I'm actually making my recipes. But I also put that total in bold so I don't actually include it. So then whenever I'm making my ingredient labels, I can see here, okay, flour needs to be listed first, then sugar, then eggs, then butter, vanilla, baking soda, salt. So if you don't have to label your ingredients by weight, then this would just be an unnecessary step. But I find this to be very helpful. I don't use the actual like recipe sheets. I just use a printout like this and keep that in my kitchen because I've memorized most of my recipes. And so I know what I'm supposed to mix together when. Let's see. Okay, I wanted to go over the macaron thing here because this recipe is a little bit more finicky, and the weights are given to you to use. So whenever Meredy had shared the ingredient list, she had the grams down because it's much more accurate than using cups. So then whenever it came time to finding to doing this, I started, instead of with the cups over here like I did here, 2 cups, 1 teaspoon, and then I built everything off of that. What I did was I started with my weights, and then I found out how many cups it would be. So if you look up here at this formula, you can see that it is K2, which is this cell here, divided by, and then I reference my master list of ingredients, and that was almond flour. So I then selected this cell here, the G15. So whenever we come back over here, you should be able to see that. Yeah, so master list ingredients, it's got quotation marks and an exclamation point there as reference. So, and then the G15 cell that I selected. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Okay, I'm reading back through. Thank you for those of you who were answering questions for me, because it's a lot harder. Yeah, if I come back over here and I change Like up here, I can select this column, and up here you can see it's formatted as currency. I can add decimal places. And if I add, actually I added, so this took it out to the 10,000th place. So the salt is actually 4/1000th of a cent because it's only a quarter teaspoon. It, up here there's a whole teaspoon and it is 16/1000th of a cent for me because of the bulk purchasing that I do. If that helps. Okay. But in order to keep this neat, I usually just hide decimal places. However, using the on my master list sheet, if you look here, you'll see that my unit prices go out to the thousandths place. I can, if I add a decimal, most of them resolve before that. So I find that the thousandths place is plenty accurate for my needs, if that makes sense. Hope so. All right, it looks like all of your questions have been answered. So we built out a recipe. I showed you 2 different ways to go from whenever you have the cups, teaspoons, tablespoons, or English measures, or if you're going from a recipe that's listed with the weights, how to figure it out. The pricing here, the formula, is still based on whatever this is here. That's just the formula that I'm used to using. So over here, it's the H column instead of, in this list, it was the B column. After listening to the podcast, I didn't get around, I listened to that last night, and I started stressing out a little bit because Heather's like, yeah, you've got to know your costs and then add that profit and everything. And I was like, oh crap, I don't actually have that actually done on this one spreadsheet. So I used to have this page of packaging on a different sheet. And so I guess I'll come back up here. So this is just, there's no reason for that. You can change your colors and things here for organizing. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But I have here all of my packaging costs, and I do have this column here for shipping, which is, I've ended up getting most of my items on Amazon Prime, and I don't actually have to pay shipping, or I'm buying it in person at like GFS or something. So most of this column is blank, but or I'll put something else in there that's just a reference for myself, and I can probably get rid of that. But so I made, I'll just give you an example here, plastic jars. So this is the same kind of idea as with the ingredients. This was the unit price, and that was after tax. And then how many jars were in the box. So it comes out to just like 65.5 cents per jar for those cake jars. So whenever I'm, when I record my orders, I do my orders through invoicing and everything through my Square website. Oh, I am not on the same page. I'm sorry. This is the page that I've been talking about. I'm sorry. I'm such a dork. All right. Okay. So here are the plastic jars. Here's the unit price with tax. There was 36 And then, so the only formula here was this one here, and it's simply D2 divided by F2. My different boxes down here, like this cake box, this is my most current one. I got it on Amazon. This is the name. I have two this size, so I just added a little note over here, which box is which. And then I'm gonna scroll over here and show you, like, for my bouquets, I do the cupcake bouquets and things. These are the different costs that I have for packaging. So I did the same thing here like I did for the for my recipes, obviously not with weights, but I found out the cost for a bouquet. So the actual wrapping for one of my 7-count bouquets is $1.66. For cakes, the parchment that I use to line the pan, my cake board, my cake drum. I guess that doesn't include my strip of tape for holding the board onto the drum, but it's pretty close. So I have had these built out for a while, and on my the spreadsheet that I use to keep track of my orders and my costs, I'll reference these numbers. So this morning I went through, I also had these figured out for finding out the cost for like my cupcakes. That's what I sell the most of. So I have it, I have the recipes referenced. So like the formula that I entered here, I'm not sure if you can see it up here. It says it equals cupcakes page the cupcakes page, and then I-14, and that's in my own personal workbook, not the blank one that I was showing you before that I'm going to make available to you. So my chocolate recipe, it makes 24 cupcakes. It costs $3.71 to make, and then this price here is whatever this cost is divided by the number that I have listed here. So my each, and then my standard frosting that I use costs about 26 cents per cupcake. So I add this each plus the frosting for a total of 41 cents each. So then over here, whenever I'm doing, if I sell a half dozen or my bouquets of 7 or a dozen or a bouquet of 19 or a bouquet of 2 dozen or whatever, I have these all costed out. So it's based on this each cost times 6, which you can see up here. That one is times 7, times 12, times 19, times 24. I put these all on this same page this morning so that I could try to find out, am I actually making any money? So down here, I'm paying myself $15 an hour right now. Maybe that's really low for you. Maybe that's really high for you. So this is for a floral cupcake, and this is priced on a dozen. So what I did was I went through and I selected the highest price for my flavors, not counting the gluten-free ones. I base it on my highest. You could do an average of these and use that, but just for my calculations this morning, I just chose the highest price flavor and based all of my pricing off of that. So in this case, it was the strawberry cupcakes are the most expensive for me to make. So 12 of those cupcakes is $5.10. My packaging, I referenced up here to a dozen cupcakes, which counts the papers and the box that I used. So that's $2.05. My labor, you'll see up here that I have it takes me about 2 hours to make the floral cupcakes. That's baking the cupcakes, making the frosting, and then decorating time. That's not like cool down time or whatever, just actual active work time is 2 hours. So, so my labor here, like I told you before, it could be really easy to just say, oh, well, I know it's 2 times 15, but referencing the cells means that I can adjust it. If I find that it's actually taking me longer than this 2 hours, I could change this to 2.5 hours and it would update it. If I decided I wanted to start paying myself $20 an hour, then this is how much, you know, it would update my labor here. So this cost here is using the formula for the sum. So I selected these three and then used the functions and did the sum here to get this 4714. So then adding 20% profit, I did, you can see my formula up here. So I did this amount, this J54 cell, times 1.2, because that would be times 120% of my cost, if that makes sense. So you're probably overwhelmed. I've had 4 years to build this up. I've had a lot of practice building it up, and so this is not for everybody. If you only make like 2 or 3 different recipes, this is not for you. If you are more like me, where you sell a wide variety of things or have sold a wide variety of things, like whenever I do markets and things, I'll do drop cookies, I'll do muffins. I'm going to switch back over to this tab. Like I said, I've done a wide variety of things, so I have a huge list made up here. I could actually probably go through here and remove some of the things because I am trying to niche down and just really focus on the cakes and cupcakes right now. So a lot of this stuff I don't use every day. One of the other things that I do have here is this labeled ingredients page. Because I have to list all of my ingredients by weights and everything, I have a huge list of ingredients and sub-ingredients in my own one. And I just went through and I picked a few different ones, and I left these in here for you. Like, so I use Toll House dark chocolate chips and this. So if I want to, like if I use Word for making my labels and I print them off at home. So having these listed here, I can just come through and select it and copy and paste in my other whatever word processing app that I'm using. But looking back through some comments, see Zoe do something similar. That's nice that I'm not like the only one who's like super, I don't know. I like to have control of things. I used to do this in Excel, but I switched over to Google Sheets so that I could use it from my phone as well. I'm just going to switch back to this one because at the moment I'm just going to keep talking. So I switched to using Google Sheets so that I could access it on my phone. And because I'm doing the screen share today, I can't actually show you my phone and um, how to do it from Google Sheets. Um, I have an Android phone that has all of the Google Workspace and everything like pre-downloaded on my phone, and I can't get rid of them. So it's easy for me to just access Sheets on there. It is maybe you have smaller fingers than I do, but I cannot actually fill in the spreadsheets very well from my phone. Like entering a recipe on there is a real pain. So I always use my desktop whenever I'm making my recipes, um, or things like that. However, whenever I just need to update the price, um, like in here, um, it's a lot. I can zoom in and click on this one thing, and then it will give me a formula bar at the bottom of Google Sheets on my phone, and I can then click in there and update the price right there in the grocery store with my phone in my hand. Even if I don't have to buy that thing that day, I can update it right away. So, like I showed you before, whenever I update this one price here, and then I go into my recipe, it's raised the price again here. If uh, like eggs, and I have to I update my prices all the time in my sheet. I try to like see like the highest eggs was 409 a couple of weeks ago. Um, so I had added it up, and it was just kind of sad to see how much my recipe cost had changed, um, since eggs had been kind of underpriced before this, and I was getting them for like 99 cents a dozen. But overall, it doesn't change the cost of a single cookie that dramatically, you know. So even though it seems like the cost of eggs, so here I'm just gonna, 2 eggs was 68 cents, and my cost per cookie was 22 cents. If I come back in here and I drop it to, well, let's just say $1.19. I think that was like the most consistent price more recently. Um, so that dropped it to, I was getting eggs and it was 20 cents for 2 eggs before, but my cost per cookie only changed 2 cents. So it's good to be able to, oh, I guess I didn't show you the formula here that I used for this was, so this formula, if you can see it up here, is D11 divided by B11. So I know that this recipe gives me 33 cookies, and that's based here on 40-gram weight cookies. So I will, so my cost per cookie didn't change dramatically, even though like my cost per recipe, it was almost, I don't remember, it was like 60 cents more or something like that. Do you have any questions? I'm trying to scroll back through some comments here. Yes, get your husband, your Excel geek husband to help you. Google Sheets and Excel are very similar. There are a couple of different things that can be changed, or that don't translate exactly. Like, I'm trying to think. Oh, one other thing I want to talk about. It's very important to, whenever you make changes on here, and if you have if you have recipes already built out, like I already have all of these prices and everything built out in here. If I want to make a change here aside from the price, if I want to reorganize this, it's very important to not just like copy and paste a cell. What I need to do is I need to highlight this whole row. If I want to move coconut oil down here to the bottom, then I need to move the whole row down, and that will automatically adjust each of these reference points. It's less noticeable here. I'm going to switch back to this one here, to my own personal one. I'm going to do something wrong and then show you how it would show up. If I just decided that I wanted to like copy and paste or delete something, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and you know what, I'm just a dork. All right, so here's my cookie page there with a couple of Jessica's biscotti recipes. So I'm deciding that I'm gonna get rid of, or I'm not gonna stock ginger or something anymore, because maybe I develop an allergy to it. I don't know. I'm stupid. I'm just thinking on the fly. So if I come through here, oh, don't pick ginger because ginger's not actually something I have here. I have substituted things. All right. I decide that I'm just going to delete nutmeg because I'm never going to use it again. So I'm just going to delete this row. Okay, so here this updated nutmeg now has a reference error because the page that the cell that I was referencing doesn't exist anymore. So shouldn't be too late right now. If I come back here and I hit undo, it should put nutmeg back in there. So it's not actually going to mess up any of my things. But if you see those red tabs with the reference error, it means that you deleted something that was being used in a different formula. I had that issue on my packaging page because I had, like I have all of these boxes here, but I'm not going to be ordering this pink stripe box anymore. And so if I decide to go through here and I'm going to delete these cells and shift them up, but if I had referenced that box price over here, here, it obviously has an error here. Oh, it's not that box itself. It was a different one that I deleted. I have this reference error here because this is referencing a size that I actually don't have anymore. This wasn't that box though. So what I just did isn't actually going to change anything right now. Let me see. I see, okay, there are features that are only available on desktop. I was trying to do something from my phone, and I'm like, what is this? One of the things doing it from the app in my phone is you can select either numbers or the alphabet keyboard to show up. And it took me way too long to figure that out. I'm like, I just want letters. Where are the letters? And I had a little dot I needed to click on. Do I block out time weekly? No, because at this point in time, I am not, I don't actually have to update things often. If I notice a major price increase, I'll update it from my phone when I'm at the grocery store. If whenever I order new packaging, like here, um, I will update it. Since I get a lot of my stuff on Amazon, the brands might be different, or and maybe brand isn't the right one here. I'm getting it from Amazon, but it's this seller on Amazon, so seller might be a more applicable term here than brand, but um, like I need to order more of these boxes, and I've updated my price here because the last time I bought these boxes, I got 50 of them for $54. And it was very, very sad to go back to Amazon and to put them in my cart and see that the price had more than doubled. Um, so I don't have to update it like every week. Um, looking back at comments, how do you get rid of something without getting the reference error? Um, well, it depends. Like over here, where I have this reference error, what I need to actually do here is I'm not using, this is for the cost of my cake boards, and I'm not using this 13 by 19 anymore. I'm using 14 by 21s. And I actually only need one most of the time. All right, so what I need to do here to fix this error is to find the correct cell. So it's still going to be, my formula is still going to be equals S16 times, now I need to come over here to my list, and what am I looking for? 14 by 20 cake board. So cake board, or 14 by 19 cake pad. This is the one here. So I'm going to be referencing G26. All right, so equals S16 times G26. And that will resolve my error over there. And I just realized that this one doesn't actually have the sum. Right. Thank you for helping me notice that. Yeah, the price jump on those boxes was crazy. So yes, I know that this is very overwhelming. Like I said, it has been 4 years in the building, which is why I want to go ahead and just share this one with you. And it will have all of these tabs here that I left in it. So it has the chocolate chip cookies from Handle the Heat, the macarons, and you can read the formulas by clicking on the cell. So that can help you there. So this recipe was done with the metric weights. These ones were based on the pricing was using the English measures instead of the metric weights. So forgot to change tabs, I'm sorry. This is the sheet that I'm going to be sharing with you with this. It just has a few prices in it that you might need to change. The cookies here that I was talking about using the metric weights, or these formulas based on the well, the prices are actually both based off of these. However, I figured out these measures by dividing the weights rather than multiplying by the English measure, if that makes sense. Anyway, doesn't look like there's any more questions, and this has been a boring hour. This is one of those things that's probably more cookie college type level, but I am not in the cookie college, and it's also my first try, so thank you for putting up with me. I will go ahead back into the event tab, and I will share this blank ingredient workbook. I have it with the link sharing here. Whenever you get it, it will be view only for you. But what you can do is you can go to file and you can choose make a copy. And whenever you make a copy of it for yourself on your own computer, then that's when you can edit it, if that makes sense. So I will try to answer any questions with if you're watching the replay or something, I guess I think some of them do hashtag replay so that I can see that the comments came in afterwards. And I will try to answer questions if I can. And I thank everybody else who was answering questions as I talked. And thank you for trying to get my attention about whenever I didn't change the page that I was sharing. So anyway, this is Sam saying goodbye. Thank you so much for being here today. I've enjoyed, sort of, I'm enjoying being done with the live video now. Glad I did it once though. All right, thank you. Have a great day.